Again, of course, the Tanner family, Barbara and Norman and Deb Sawyer, for their very generous and fundamental support of the work of the center. We couldn't do any of this without them. Also, our sponsors and our many co-sponsors, the panelists and moderators, the center staff, again, our board, all of them for making this conference possible. And I want to thank all of you for your engagement and attention and patience and all the insights and your questions and comments throughout these days. I want to mention a couple of opportunities to extend this conversation. The first is an event, for those of you who are local, coming up at Westminster College March 8th at 7 p.m. in the Gore Concert Hall on the Westminster campus, a lecture by Stephen Solomon on Water, the Epic Struggle of Wealth, Power, and Civilization. So very much on these same themes. Stephen Solomon is a sort of an economic journalist. He's published in the New York Times, Business Week, The Economist, and many other venues. And that's sponsored by the Utah Council for Citizens Diplomacy, as well as Westminster College. I've left some handouts on the table and back with that information. And then secondly, we'll make resources available on the Tanner Center website. The web address is on the back of your schedule. We will post there video of all of the panels that have been held and the keynote addresses as well. We intend to have links to abstracts of at least some of the papers presented here, links to further information about the presenters, information about the groups who were at our reception on Wednesday, groups that work on water issues. We'll link to them. And a list, we're going to compile a list of important readings and documents that have been suggested by some of the panelists and link all that information on a kind of a standing website for the conference, and so you'll be able to find that through the Tanner Human Rights Center webpage. If you haven't been to one of our events before, I think this conference is a really good example of the priorities of the Tanner Human Rights Center. It's focused on a really fundamental determinant of human well-being. It's tried to understand conflict around that issue. It's tried to promote movement toward practical solutions to those conflicts and those problems, based on a very broadly interdisciplinary approach, philosophers and engineers and lawyers and all kinds of folks. And this conference has considered those issues at a global, a regional, and a local level. And it's promoted engagement with the community well beyond the campus. And all of those things are really priorities of the center. It's really fundamental to our approach. One recurring theme that's come up, it came up very much in Susan Sprunk and LaDawn Haglund's talks and in the keynotes, and again this morning, is this tension between market and public provision of basic goods, in this case water. The influence of multinational corporations in this area, the influence of non-governmental agencies and international trade more generally, concern about the provision of access to these goods for the poor and the powerless. And those themes will be taken up in next year's conference, much beyond water. That conference has the working title, Global Justice, Economic Globalization, Crisis, and the Common Good. And we'll, as we did this year, begin to explore that theme with a series of events in the fall. Please check our webpage and our Facebook page as we begin to schedule those things, leading up to, again, our conference, which, again, will be held in February of next year. I hope many of you can join us then. For those of you who are visiting us, safe travels, and best of luck in your ongoing work on these important issues. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Talk loud.
Barbara Tanner, I want you, this is, hello. I want you to accept the gratitude of the Goshute Nation for the good works that you and your family do. You set a very good example, and I appreciate that. Thank you.